every YouTube everybody! Well, interestingly enough, YouTube just gave us a special trick or treat for Halloween. It's more of a treat than a trick, but I actually had to add a few tricks myself to get it to work. It's YouTube's new 60 frames per second support. Now, I've recorded footage from 3 games. The first one, what you're watching now, of course, is The Evil Within. And the second one will be Skyrim, and the third one will be Fallout 3 with 2 different configurations. Now, by the way, in order to view these clips in full 60 frames per second, you have to choose at least 720p or even 1080p high definition in the quality settings. And right next to those quality text will be a 60 frame per second timestamp. In other words, you'll see it right in the quality setting. So once you've done that, you should be watching The Evil Within at 1600 by 900. That was a problem that I had among other problems. So there are going to be some technical challenges to overcome in order to record at full 60 frames per second. I was only able to squeeze about more like 55 frames per second out of this, even at just 1600 by 900. So that's a limitation of not only the graphics card, but also my recording software, and I might have to upgrade that. I use Fraps right now, but I'm going to probably upgrade to DX3 or something else. Also keep in mind that Bethesda released an update to The Evil Within just today, along with the 60 frames per second support on YouTube, in order to lock the game to a 60 frame per second, but with VSync. And VSync has the habit of dropping frame rate, so you probably won't be able to use VSync in any game that you record if you plan to record in 60 frames per second. Alright, next we have The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, recorded in full 1920 by 1080 at also 60 frames per second. And I was able to squeeze about 55 frames roughly per second out of this clip and the next clip. There's a few challenges to overcome here. First of all, I had to drop a few of my quality settings to be able to record in 60 frames per second. I eliminated anti-aliasing and I dropped my anisotropic filtering down a little bit. That's typically what you might have to do to grab 60 frames per second. Also, there's another consideration, is your storage device that you are recording to. You need a fast storage device, particularly something solid state. So I've got a solid state drive and it's using a SATA 3 bus. I'm able to record roughly, I think it's 300 megabits per second onto the drive, which is pretty much all you need for 1080p. Now, the technical challenge that I have to overcome is in the games themselves, and there were even tougher technical challenges in Fallout 3 because it's not very well optimized, and it was certainly never optimized to record at 1080p at 60 frames per second. But Skyrim is a newer game, so, and it's been through many updates, rather recently too, so I was able to squeeze most of it out. And I think if I increase my graphics card and if I just change my recording software to record to 2 different drives at once, then I'll be able to easily record in 60 frames per second. Alright, finally we get to Fallout 3, which is, I think, what everyone has been waiting for. So I recorded this clip real time in 60 frames per second. Now notice that it does chop around a little bit. There is a little bit of chop. It's not that bad. And again, this is just my first attempt after farting around with settings and changing some scripts a little bit for about 10 minutes. So I'll definitely be optimizing this a lot more, and I'll be able to record in 60 frames per second seamlessly, so everything will be silky smooth. Now, I do sometimes record in bullet time, and I am going to show you a bullet time clip in just a moment. But remember, this is real time in the game, recording at 60 frames per second, and this is at 1080p high definition. And if you're wondering, will I ever be able to squeeze 60 frames per second out of 1440p? No. No way. Not right now. Maybe the next generation of SATA drives might be able to handle that, but not right now. We're just heralding in the 60 frame per second age, so and YouTube was just releasing that today, so it's going to be several years before people figure that out and start releasing hardware that's capable of recording 1440p high definition, 60 frames per second. Okay, now this last clip will be silky smooth, and the reason is I recorded this at bullet time at 30 frames per second when in the game, and then what I did, I doubled the speed of the video and doubled the speed of the audio, and the result is a true 60 frame per second clip, and you are watching this at 60 frames per second, and you should easily be able to tell that this is 60 frames per second. I even did a 60 frame per second test before that support was even released on YouTube, and the way I did that was I asked people to speed up the video to 2 times, but now you don't have to do that. YouTube essentially does that automatically because it officially supports 60 frames per second. A problem with the videos, the size of the videos, is that they're now twice as large. So that's another reason why I can't handle 1440p at 60 frames, and certainly not 4K videos at 60 frames per second. And the next logical question to ask is whether I'm going to start uploading all of my walkthroughs in 60 frames per second. Well, I did a comparison and like a personal assessment of which is more important, higher quality video or faster frame rate, and I'm going to take a survey among my viewers, but I think the consensus is going to be that we would rather see 60 frames per second footage rather than trying to bump my quality all the way up to 4K resolution. The reason I did the 4K is because for posterity mainly. Maybe a lot of people can't watch 4K videos right now, but 5 years down the road, when 4K is available, what kind of Fallout walkthroughs are they going to be watching on their 4K monitors? That's right, mine. So it's I'm thinking about the future, but this is the first time that YouTube has released the 60 frame per second support, so we'll probably take advantage of that for a while. Alright, so let me know what you thought of these 60 frames per second video clips. If you like this one, you can subscribe to my channel, and then you'll get all these walkthroughs in your inbox. I do Skyrim, Fallout 3, Watch Dogs, The Evil Within, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, The Witcher 2. We might be doing Far Cry 4 very soon on the channel. All kinds of good stuff. And follow me on Twitter, and you'll get an alert when I upload something. And I also will start Twitching this Friday at October the 31st at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. So join me on twitch.tv/Culveyhouse. Thanks for watching.